If you run an e-commerce store and you feel like your email marketing revenue is lower than what it should be, then it's likely you're overlooking the part of email marketing that is the most important thing, and that's your email deliverability. That's why in this video, I'm going to be giving you a full up-to-date tutorial on how to fix your email deliverability and stop your emails from going to spam fast, all so you can make the most out of your email list. Now, I can say this with confidence because over the last 4 years, I've helped over 75 e-commerce brands selling everything from pretzels all the way to snowblowers generate north of $40 million from their email list, and that just wouldn't be possible if I didn't know how to get their emails from out of the spam folder and into the inbox. So let me walk you through the 4 steps of fixing your emails from going to spam. Now, the very first step of this is actually understanding why your emails are going to spam in the first place. Because I can show you how to fix literally everything, but if you don't know what actually causes this, there's a big chance you're gonna go back and make those same mistakes as before. And if your emails continue to go to spam, what that means for you is less people are going to be opening up your emails, and if no one sees them, what's the point of wasting all of your time to create the best looking emails? Worse yet, if your emails aren't getting delivered, you're losing out on thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue. And if you really don't know what you're doing, you could be damaging both your domain and IP reputation, and that will set you back months as you try to recover. Now, there are 4 reasons why your emails are usually going to spam. So the first one is not setting up the tentacles. So think DMARC, DKIM, SPF, as well as the sending domain. I know it's a lot of technical jargon, but they're really, really important, and I'll walk you through how to set all of this up. Second is not monitoring Google Postmaster. This is a free tool provided by Google, and I'll show you how to sign up and how to use it. Third is bad or no segmentation on email campaigns. So a lot of clients that come to us that have poor deliverability, they're just blasting their entire email list. So I'll show you how to do proper segmentation in order to improve your deliverability over time. And fourth is not tracking KPIs on a regular basis. So this one is more about staying disciplined because you want to be proactive and looking at your KPIs and not waiting around for your deliverability to tank before you do. So let's walk through each of these step by step so you can see how everything works and how you can set it up for yourself. In this first portion, let's quickly talk about DMARC, DKIM, and SPF, and then I'll talk about the sending domain right afterwards. These email authentication protocols are the backbone of email deliverability, and they actually communicate to email clients that your emails are indeed legitimate and are coming from you. So if you don't set these up, your emails just won't look trustworthy. And that means for spam filters, they will have a higher likelihood of blocking your emails, and then people would just never see them. So here in Cloudflare, you can see that they mentioned that it's important for preventing spam, phishing attacks, and other email security risks. So let's talk about branded sending domains. So by default, when you sign up for a Klaviyo account, you'll be put inside of a shared Klaviyo domain, and it will say something along the lines of sent on behalf of klaviyomail.com or some variation of that. Now, the problem with this is if a bad actor was on that shared domain as well, and they were sending out spammy emails, it hurts the reputation of the whole domain, including your emails. This could make your emails more likely to end up in spam, even if you're doing everything right. And so the fix for this is actually using your own branded sending domain. And instead of sending emails from, let's say, klaviyomail.com, you can set it up where it comes from your own domain. So if your website was, let's say, google.com, your emails could come from send.google.com. And that's better because you have better control over your email reputation and your deliverability. And if you're doing everything right, fewer emails will go to spam. Last thing to note is that both Google and Yahoo have made this a requirement as of early 2024. Klaviyo has put together a really great guide that you should take a look at. There's other ones that you can find online, but I'm going to be showing you how to set up a lot of these technicals. So now that I've shown you everything, let's set them up together. All right, so let's set up the sending domain. And actually the nice part when you're setting up the sending domain is you're actually setting up DKIM and SPF at the same time. So if I come here to my Klaviyo account and I go to settings and then accounts and then domains, you'll see an option to connect a domain. So let's do that together. I'm gonna click on that. And then for the root domain, it will ask you to put in a domain. So here I'm just putting in my website, 11.agency, and then I'm hitting next. And here, this sending domain will auto-populate by Klaviyo. It will say send, but you can really put anything here. But as you can see, it just says send.11agency. For the routing type, just keep it at dynamic and then hit next. You could use this new software provided by Klaviyo. It's called Entry to automatically do all of this for you. But if you just want to set it up manually just so you can can know how to do this, just hit set up manually. And in my case, I have Cloudflare, so let's go to Cloudflare and hit next. And now I just have to copy all of these records over to Cloudflare and update my DNS record. So let's do that together. I'm inside my Cloudflare account, so let's add in the records. So the first one I'll be adding is the NS records. And if you look closely, they just increment up by 1. So I'm just gonna copy this one time and then just do it myself. So NS records, this is send. And then for TTL, you can just keep it at auto. And I'm gonna do the next one, changing that up to 2. And then the last one. Great, so now we have all 4 NS records. And if I come back here, we just have to add in the last TXT record. And this is just verifying that we actually own this domain. So I'm gonna do this and change the type to TXT, do @ for targeting root, and then putting that in, and then hitting save. Great, now we have all 5 records inside of our Cloudflare account, and I'm just gonna hit verify, and then hit finish. And already Klaviyo is telling me that this is correctly set up, so I'm just gonna hit activate and then type in I understand and then hit activate. And with that, our sending domain is now active and DKIM SPF is now active as well. The last thing for us to do is just setting up DMARC. So let's do that. I'm gonna come here and add a record. For the type, I'm gonna type out TXT. For the name, I'm gonna put underscore DMARC. And then for the content, I'm gonna put V equals DMARC 1, P equals none. Once I have that all typed out, I'm gonna hit save. And now that should be a part of our DNS records. The final thing we want to do is come to a tool like MX Toolbox and just put in our domain name to double check and verify that we have set up DMARC correctly. So if you come here to the DMARC tool, put in your domain name and then hit lookup, we can now see that MX Toolbox has confirmed and verified that we have set up DMARC correctly. So just to recap, we have now set up the sending domain. We have set up our SPF, DKIM, and DMARC records. So that's pretty much the foundation and base layer of the technicals, but there's a lot more that we can do. So let's go and check that out. Once you set up your email authentication and your sending domain, the next step is to monitor and maintain your email health. And how we can do that is with a tool like Google Postmasters. So Google Postmasters is a free tool from Google that helps you track your sending reputation and spot issues with your deliverability. There are actually a lot of cool features, but the 2 main things I'll be talking about on Postmasters is domain and IP reputation. Actually, at 11 Agency, we monitor these 2 things on a daily basis because if a problem comes up, we want to be really agile with our campaign sending segments. Now, with all that being said, let's go ahead and sign up for this free tool. So if you signed in, you should be met with a screen that looks like this. So let's hit get started. And then you want to type out your domain. And actually, I've already verified my domain earlier, so don't need to do this again. But if I come here to Cloudflare, it looks something like this. So it says TXT @ for the name, and then for the content, you just want to paste over what Google has given you on the other screen. So I'm gonna hit next. So as you can see right now, it has been added and it's now verified. So if I click in, you can see that there isn't much data going on because we just added in this domain. But actually, if I come back out here, I want to show you something really cool. So if I hit this plus button and type out the sending subdomain that we made earlier inside of Klaviyo, you can see that Google Postmasters has added this in separately. And the reason we do this is when we monitor our client accounts, we actually look at the subdomain rather than the root domain most of the time. That's because all of our sending activity is through that sending subdomain that we just set up. All right, so let me take you inside of an account with data. This is actually the sending subdomain that we set up earlier inside of Klaviyo. The first thing to note is the look back window. So we have the last 7 days all the way to the last 120 days. And then on the left-hand side of this graph, we have 4 different groups. We have high, medium, low, and bad. But this is how Google actually views your sending reputation. So if you're not sitting at high, you have work to do because your deliverability is probably suffering, and that in turn means your open rates are suffering as well. So in the case for this client, they were sitting at high before they tanked down to medium, but they got to this point because they were sending to their entire list. Their entire list was about 2 to 3 years old, so they got a ton of unsubscribes, spam complaints, and bounces. They were at 60 to 70% open rates before, and when they dropped down to medium, it went down to around 25 to 35% open rates. So that's a huge drop off. And when they came to us after this had happened, we did some calculations for how much revenue they were losing. They were losing about $20,000 in email revenue every single week, which is the reason why I say you have to work on this immediately. So after we started to work together, we did a few things, and after about a month, we got their domain reputation back to high, as you can see right here. Their open rates went from 20 to 30% to 60 to 70%, and they started to make a lot more money again. So now we're looking at IP reputation, and how I got here is I just toggled this from domain to IP reputation, but very similar to domain reputation. So we have 4 different groups. groups. We have high, medium, low, and bad. One thing to note though is that it does take longer for IP reputation to heal up compared to domain reputation. So if you see that IP reputation is lagging compared to domain reputation, just be patient. I mentioned earlier that we check this on a daily basis. You don't have to do that, but I would recommend at least on a weekly basis. And later on in this video, I'll give you a sheet where you can easily track this as well as all your email weekly KPIs. Again though, if your IP or domain reputation is not sitting at high, then you have work to do because you're probably losing out on a lot of money. So coming back here to domain reputation, I'm going to be showing you the exact same strategy we use to get this client's domain reputation back to high. And this allowed them to generate back an additional $20,000 in lost weekly revenue. It's actually not that complicated, so let me show you exactly what we did. By the way, if you want an email deliverability cheat sheet that you can just check off to make sure you have the best email deliverability, I'll leave a link in the description where you can just get that for free. In this third section, I'm going to be talking about campaign segmentation strategies to improve your deliverability. If you're already suffering from low open rates, your emails are going to spam, and you've already checked Google Postmasters and seen that your domain reputation is not sitting at high, then keep on watching. Now, there are 7 things to take a note of as we try to improve our deliverability. Number 1 is checking Google Postmasters. So a lot of people don't know this, but there is a high correlation between low deliverability, open rates, and poor sending reputation. So just be sure to monitor your Postmasters data to get the full picture. Number 2 is aiming for 50 to 60% open rates. Now, I know that sounds like a lot, but with the right segmentation strategy, you can hit these numbers and actually way more than that, but it will take some trial and error, so just be patient. Now, how we can hit those really high open rates is by constraining our segmentation. So we want to keep our segments really tight, focusing on the contacts between 14 to 30 days of engagement recency. Now, the reason we want to do that is because we want to show Google that we have high engagement scores, and this will give us the best chance of boosting our deliverability. Now, going off of that is tight segmentation is crucial. So until your high reputation is restored on Postmasters, you'll just have to keep your audience segments really tight and focusing on the contacts between 14 to 30 days of recency. Now, number 5 is sending campaigns 2 to 3 times on a weekly basis. Now, this is a best practice in email marketing anyway, so you should already be doing this, but constant communication is key and super critical during this time period. So regularly engaging your subscribers with fresh content sends powerful signals to boost your deliverability. Number 6 is that patience is key. So rebuilding your deliverability and domain reputation takes time, and based on our experience, it usually takes 1 to 2 months. So just be patient and keep a close eye on your Postmasters data. And lastly, number 7 is that Google is in control. So when it comes to your domain reputation or your deliverability, we're at the mercy of Google. So we just have to keep on monitoring your Postmasters and your KPIs, and don't expand out your segmentation until you see that high rating come back on Postmasters. So we just went over that we need to constrain our segmentation between 14 to 30 days. I'm going to show you an example right here. So here we have 30-day recency. So in this segment, you can see that it says open email is at least once in the last 30 days, clicked email is at least once in the last 30 days, and bounce email is 0 times overall time. So we don't want any bounces in this segment. Now, one other cool thing that we can do is we can overlay frequency on top for even better engagement. So here we have another segment, which is 30-day recency 3x frequency. If we take a look inside, you can see that it says open email is at least 3 in the last 30 days, and then clicked email is at least 3 in the last 30 days. So comparing this segment to the one we just previously went over, which didn't have any frequency, this one will have much more engaged profiles in this segment. My recommendation would be to test both until you hit that 50 to 60% open rate. We actually use both for a lot of our clients, so it's just a matter of finding out what works best for you. All right, so let's just say after about a month's time, you check your Google Postmasters account and you see that your domain reputation is back at high. What you want to do now is you want to ramp up cautiously, and how we're going to do that is by slowly expanding out our segmentation. So in week 1, we're going to jump from 30-day recency to 60-day recency while making sure that our campaigns that are going out have at least a 50% open rate. If that's true, then in week 2, we're going to increase that to 90-day recency. And then again in week 3, we're going to expand that further out to 120-day recency. And then by week 4, we should be in the clear to apply our normal segmentation as well as re-engagement strategies on our campaigns. Now, just to recap that entire process, achieving a fully healed reputation typically takes about 1 to 2 months. This step that I just went over takes about 1 month. So that entire process takes 2 to 3 months. I know that sounds like a long time, but I think one thing to always remember is that deliverability is priority number 1. And it doesn't doesn't matter how great your content is if it never reaches your audience. So we want to take a cautious step-by-step approach. So to show you that this isn't all theory, I'm going to be showing you a real-life case study where we use all of the same strategies. So for this client, their domain reputation had actually dropped down to medium. They were previously sitting at around 60 to 70% open rates. And now you can see that their open rates have dropped down to around 35%. We calculated that they're losing out on about $50,000 every single week that this was going on. So we did everything I just talked about, like constraining their segment sizes to 14 to 30 days of recency. And after about a month, their domain reputation went back to high, and then we started to expand out their segment sizes. So we did that for 30 to 60, 60 to 90, and 90 to 120. As you can see now, their open rates are back at around 60 to 70%, and the number of recipients have doubled. In total, this process took about 2 months from start to finish. So for this client, they're back to printing way more cash from their campaigns. All right, so that's it for our campaign segmentation strategy for improving deliverability. Let's talk about the final thing to improving deliverability. I'm going to be showing you how you can easily track all your KPIs on a weekly basis. Now, the reason why we're doing this is because we want to see problem areas before they become an issue. I'm sure you don't want your deliverability to suffer and your emails to go to spam, and you losing thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars each week. Also too, it's nice to have a place to look to see trends, especially if you're updating this week over week. In this example, I'm actually going to be using one of the sheets we use internally for all of our clients. If you want your own copy so you can follow along, I'll leave a link in the description where you can get that for free. To quickly explain how the sheet works, we have 3 different sections that we're going to be updating each week. You can do this yourself or ask one of your team members to do this for you. It's pretty easy. But the 3 things we're going to be tracking are postmasters, email campaigns, and email flow KPIs. The really nice thing about this sheet is that it's actually color-coded with all the KPIs built in. So when you enter in the data, the colors will change automatically. And at a quick glance, you can easily see what needs attention right away and work on them with your team. If you want to know the KPIs we're using for these metrics, just scroll down a little bit and you can see them. But we have 3 different groups, which is great, okay, and needs work. So to run through a test, we're going to be doing the week of January 19th through the 25th. For postmasters, it's pretty simple. Just toggle the latest metric that you see in postmasters. So if domain reputation was high that week, we'll toggle that to high. And if IP reputation was at medium, we'll change that to medium. And as you can see, the colors change so you can easily tell what's going on. All right, so let's move on to campaigns. Now you want to go inside Klaviyo, go to the custom report tab, and on the top right, hit create from scratch. Afterwards, you should be met with a screen that looks like this. At the top, you want to select campaign performance report and then give this report a recognizable name. On standard campaign metrics, you want to select these 6 metrics. And for conversion metric, you want to select your CMS. So if you're using Shopify, then just put Shopify. Now that we have that all set up, let's put in the date range and then hit run report. Klaviyo has now given us this output, so let's copy these over to the sheet. Now on the sheet, we use a darker shade of gray to indicate where you enter in the information. The output is left to right on Klaviyo, but it matches top to bottom on the sheet, so everything is in order. All right, so the first one is total recipients, so I'm going to copy that over for total sent. And then the next one is unique opens, and then unique clicks, unsubscribes, spam complaints, bounces, and then total placed order, and then total placed order value. All right, so we finished out campaigns. As you can see, it's all color coded. Let's do flows now. So I've come back here to Klaviyo, and it's the same process. What you want to do is create a new report, but this time select flow performance report. And it's actually all the same metrics as campaigns. So I'm going to come down here and just hit run report. All right, so I'm going to copy and paste all of this information onto the flow section. So we have total sent, unique opens, unique clicks, unique unsubscribes, spam complaints, bounces, total place order, total place order value. So we've put in the flow information and we've now completed this first week. Now, when you look at this sheet each week, you'll be able to easily spot things you need to work on. So say something wasn't looking so good, you can just go into Postmasters and Klaviyo and dive deeper. And to do the next week, all you have to do is copy and paste this column over and then just change the day at the very top. Then just repeat all the steps. Again, the reason why we're doing all of this is to really understand what's going on inside of our Klaviyo and Postmasters account. And it's always better to stay proactive rather than reactive. All right, that's everything you need to know to improve your deliverability. Now, throughout this video, we focus on making sure your emails actually reach inboxes and you get high open rates without getting lost in spam. But once you've got deliverability under control, the next step is making sure those emails actually drive revenue. And that's where setting up the right email flows can make a huge difference. That's why I made a separate video showing the step-by-step process of creating the exact email flows that are responsible for an average of 30% of total email marketing revenue all on their own. So click here to watch that video where I show my full process for creating super high converting abandoned cart and and checkout flows so you can build these for yourself in Klaviyo, launch them, and generate way more from your email list than ever before, completely on autopilot. See you over there.